In the alternative method, a specially formulated white glue is applied to the exterior liner surfaces. This glue reacts with water in the concrete to form a chemical bond. It is particularly important to apply white glue to the back side of the groove to ensure adequate bonding. This method should be considered for use where stringent EPA regulations require. Once the liner has been completely prepared, the mold is adjusted and ready to receive the liner. For handling and moving the mold, a turning bar, like the one shown here, is virtually required for safe operations. The outside shell is lifted and moved to the side. Form oil, which is a release agent, is applied to the exposed surface of the shell to prevent concrete from bonding to it. It is very important to keep form oil off the liner itself. The liner is placed over the inner mold surface. At this point, it is important to check that the ends of the liner cannot be depressed more than a quarter inch before contacting the inner mold surface. The gap between the inner mold and liner can be adjusted using the 3/4 inch bolt on the end of the mold. Turning this bolt clockwise will move the end out to make a tighter fit. Liners can be loaded into the assembled mold by simply inserting one end first, followed by the other end. Press down on the liner to make sure it is firmly seated on the inner mold. The vault lid tape seal can be applied before or after the lid has been poured, depending on your lid storage method. A coat of primer is brushed into the liner groove. After waiting at least 10 minutes, the seal material is gently pressed into the liner groove. Corners require particular care to ensure an even seal. Leaving the paper backing in place, seat the material using a wallpaper seam roller. Lid molds are adjusted at the factory and should not need to be changed. If some adjustment is required, the end plates can be moved in or out from underneath the mold. The lid liner is placed in the mold and the sides raised. The sides are locked down as shown here, and we're ready to pour concrete. Some vault styles require that certain handles and bar supports be mounted into lead anchors that are part of the vault. Positioning and placement of these anchors is simplified by pre-drilling the mold so that anchors can be put into place during the pouring process. To determine where the holes should be drilled, simply measure over one handle width for placement of the first handle, one more handle width for positioning of the center handle, and then one final handle's width for the position of the third handle. This process is repeated for the other side of the mold. Vault and lid molds are poured in the same manner, with concrete delivery rates controlled so that all areas of the mold can easily be filled without overfilling the mold. The poured concrete will have trapped air bubbles in it, which must be removed either manually, as you see here, or by use of a mechanical vibrator. Which method to use is up to the individual operation. However, there is some concern that mechanical vibration can promote oversettling of the aggregate in the concrete. If the manual method using saws is your choice, make sure to keep the saw teeth away from the liner surface during this process. Reinforcing rods are required to be used in vault lids. This adds strength to the entire unit. For pre-drilled lid molds, 1/4-inch dimpled pencil rods are used with the anchors. For non-drilled molds, the rebar should be ribbed. In addition to rebar, reinforcing mesh or fiber mesh could also be used. Refer to pages 34 through 37 in the National Concrete Burial Vault Association Performance Standards Handbook for information on regulations and requirements. Once the concrete has been reinforced, the surface is smoothed. Finished. And edged for a neat appearance. Lifting hooks are normally added to the vault lids for ease in handling. Lid caps, such as for the Tremont, are placed in the lid molds while the concrete is still wet. These caps should be filled with concrete a couple of days prior to pouring the vault molds. This is easily accomplished by supporting the cap on pieces of plywood, placing reinforcing bar along each long side, and then adding about 8 shovels full of concrete, or enough to bring the concrete level to within 1/2 inch of the top of the cap. Once the cap has been placed in the lid mold, check all around to ensure good contact. On lids that have caps, it is important to remember that the lifting hooks be placed closer to the lid edge so that the cap will fit. After the concrete has set up slightly, the cap should be smoothed in as shown here. We recommend that all lids be brushed to give nice uniform surface on the finished product. Brushing fills in any small voids, and by brushing only in one direction, gives a nicely textured surface. The molds now must be allowed to sit long enough for the concrete to fully harden and cure. The amount of time required is dependent on the mix of concrete used and the temperature and humidity in your location. You should refer to and follow the recommendations of your concrete supplier to determine the proper time frame before stripping out the molds. Once the concrete is fully set up, the mold can be stripped out. A turning bar and 2 kicker bars, also called separators, are required for this operation. The kicker bars are mounted on each end of the mold, as you can see here. Make sure to open the mold locks and then slowly lift the vault off the mold base. Using wood supports, lower the vault, remove the separators, and attach the turning bar directly to the ends of the mold. The vault can then be lifted from the mold base, carefully turned, and lowered onto some supports. Leave some tension on the chains and break open the corner locks. The side mold can now be easily lifted away from the vault. The mold can now be cleaned and prepared for the next vault. Lid molds are even easier to strip out. With lifting chains connected to the lifting hooks in the lid, unlock and lower the sides of the mold. And lift the lid clear. The first step in finishing the vault is the application of a sealer coat. The sealer coat may be either latex acrylic vault paint or asphalt. Latex acrylic vault paint serves as both a sealer and decorative finish. It is applied with a paint roller at a rate of 1 quart per vault. No asphalt is required and cleanup is accomplished with water. Decorative colored glitter flakes may be sprinkled on the lid while still wet. Acrylic vault paint offers 2 primary advantages. It is environmentally safe and offers cost savings in faster preparation and cleanup times. The alternative sealing method uses asphalt. The material used here is the number 999 asphalt. It can be sprayed, brushed, or rolled on. Roller application is cleaner and makes better use of the material. 5 gallons of this asphalt material will cover about 10 vaults. This asphalt provides a base coat for stippling or painting. Stippling provides a textured surface that greatly improves the appearance of the finished vault. Stippling mastic is applied to the vault surface to produce a layer about 1/4 inch thick. Texturing is accomplished using a textured sealing roller that is rolled in the same direction throughout the process, or with a wood float or trowel that is used to pull the mastic away from the surface. Either method provides a very satisfactory stipple. An alternate method to produce a textured surface is the use of a textured panel kit. In use, the textured panels are spot welded to the interior surfaces of the mold. Textured panel kits provide a more uniform stipple than does stippling mastic. Bronzing paint is applied to the exterior surface of the vault and lid using conventional spraying techniques. To mix enough bronzing paint for 1 vault, combine 4 teaspoons of bronzing powder with 1 1/2 pints of bronzing liquid. Some vault models, such as the Tremont, are highlighted for visual impact. The lid of the Tremont is painted with white latex as shown here. The tips of the stipple texture are then highlighted with white. The simplest and neatest technique to accomplish this is to make small circular motions with the brush held in the upright position, as demonstrated. The Heritage model is also highlighted similarly using gold paint. Vaults produced using textured panel kits can be easily highlighted using the wall paint pads and the appropriately colored acrylic vault paint. Decorative handles for the Tremont are attached by inserting plastic anchors 2 feet from each end. Tape seal material is also useful for mounting decorative plates. A small amount of material placed on the back surface of the plate will hold it in place on the finished vault. On a final note is the reminder that there are 2 styles of lid molds. Lid mold style 1 is used only for the Oxford vault model. Lid mold style 2 is used for all other models. A good-looking Trigard vault not only demonstrates the pride and workmanship of the vaultmen, but also moves faster in the marketplace. A little care and attention during manufacturing will be paid back in enhanced prestige for the vaultman and for the Trigard vault name.